If you've ever wondered whether you're neurodivergent or just felt like you see the world a little differently, you're not alone. I was diagnosed autistic at 25, and suddenly, so many things I never had words for started to make sense. Here, I share the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful parts of life through an autistic lens. My name is Elena Carroll, and if you're looking for answers, understanding, or just an autistic friend, you're in the right place. Hey guys, it's Elena and welcome back to my channel. I want to talk about masking. This has been so present in my life at the moment because I'm really working hard to know who I actually am, and I am creating videos for the late diagnosed person who is really struggling to know what happens next. Identity is such a big issue for the late diagnosed person, and this is mainly because of our ability to mask. Chances are the reason that you were late diagnosed is because of how high masking and how high functioning you have come across in your life. And in some ways, this was the thing that actually allowed you to survive. It was the thing that allowed you to live a quote-unquote normal life. But at the same time, it was the very reason that stopped you from being noticed. And so now that you have either through a formal or informal diagnosis, you've got to now grapple with the fact, I don't know who I am. We masked in order to survive, and now we need to learn to take off that mask in order to survive, but in a different way, in order to find happiness, in order to find meaning, and in order to live out our true, authentic self. And I think that is such a deeply scary thing if you have lived one way your entire life, knowing that you can be accepted, you can live a quote-unquote normal life. As I said, you can actually be accepted by society and come across as a neurotypical, but that's not going to work for you, and that's not going to work for your brain, and that's not going to work for your happiness. And so you have to learn to take that off. And so I've been trying to unpack that. I have been trying to understand what are the different ways that people actually do mask, and how you might still be masking and not even realize it. And so it's a conversation about masking. The first one I think applies to so many people, particularly girls, and that is social and emotional masking. Basically, it is learning what to say, what not to say, and it not really being something that comes naturally to you. It's something that you know will be accepted, something that you have rehearsed perhaps. Within my diagnosis report, it actually told me, like, the psychologist told me just how robotic and mechanical I came across, and I was speaking in ways that, maybe wasn't the truth of what I was feeling. It was what I knew would be accepted, and I think that this is what we've had to do to survive. I went to a party couple months ago now, and at the beginning I was just trying to get a lay of the land, I suppose, and trying to figure out the group norms, what was accepted, what jokes were accepted, what things they were passionate about, what things I could relate to them that I could bring up, and all of those things. And it was said to me by the person that I was with, like, not at all in a bad way, but they were just saying, like, oh, you went like really quiet at the beginning, like, is everything okay? Was everything all right for you? And I said to them, like, that is my time to actually process all these things. Like, I can't do that within a conversation because I am so fearful of the rejection, particularly like in new groups. Like, I don't know, I want to be accepted. Maybe it's less about wanting to be accepted, but it's just not wanting the rejection maybe. And so I really had to kind of like spell it out to them, like, I need that time to try and figure all these things out. And that's like, all those things are happening all at once, and it's really hard to kind of think about all those things and have conversations. And this person was like, oh my God, I can't believe you go through that amount of thinking within an environment. And I thought, that is so wild to hear it said back to me, like, from somebody else, believing that the way that I live my life, the way that my brain works is wild to them. And I know that it is, but this is just how it's always been. This is how the social and emotional mask has always presented to me. Rehearsing the scripts ahead of time, even just like calling to make a doctor's appointment or a hairdresser's appointment, I would always like type out what I needed to say and make sure I said everything, because I'm too focused on getting it right than I am focused on the actual issue that I'm trying to resolve or the actual point of me making the call. So this is definitely one way that masking can still present in your life, even if you have been diagnosed and are aware of masking, being hyper aware of what you're saying, how you're saying it to people, and just how it's kind of coming across. While this one is more so kind of focused on, suppressing your own feelings and thoughts, maybe stims, if you're feeling kind of uncomfortable. This next one is definitely more focused on the words. Communication masking is the next one, and this one is incredibly challenging for people who struggle with their identity. I think I am still to this day very rooted in the safety that comes through communication masking, and that is being hyper polite to avoid conflict and making sure that I am accepted, I suppose, mirroring the speech of those around me. I think that the point that I want to make here is there is a deep confusion with how much to share of oneself. I remember being at high school in the very early days of high school and trying to find my friend group, trying to find which group actually, fit me well. And I was in a group that I did not remain in for very long, probably because of the way that I felt around them, and I just couldn't read what was accepted and what wasn't. But I remember at the time, like, trying to make jokes about trending movies that were happening at the time, but I didn't know when to drop those jokes in on conversation. And so it would just come out as just this random bunch of fucking jokes. And I remember them, like, laughing, but confused, like, what relevance did that have? And I felt like, oh my God, what relevance did that have? Why did I need to share that? And I always walked away from those conversations just being really annoyed at myself, I suppose, really confused with myself, and really just being confused in general with conversation. Perhaps this also looks like if you are going through an internal meltdown, a shutdown, and you are still forcing yourself to speak, whether you are feeling really overwhelmed by what is going on around you, bright lights and all of that, and you are still forcing yourself to like pretend like everything is fine and it's really not. This can also look like avoiding topics that you love in order to like not overshare and be a burden within the conversation. It's basically just like turning down your personality and who you are and what you are. It's just dialing it down. This is basically communication masking, and I think that this one, from my experience, can sometimes be the loneliest. To go on from that point of dialing down your overwhelm, we come to sensory and behavioral masking. Basically, if you are someone who has sensory overload or just a hypersensitivity to the environment around you, it's basically turning that down, like I said, making sure no one actually knows that you're struggling as much as you are with the bright lights, the loud noises. This is the word that I use, enduring the sensory overload for somebody else's needs. I don't know what the word is. For somebody else's comfort, maybe is the word that I'm looking for. And I hate that so much. Why do we do that? I think as well, like for people who have maybe a corporate job or, any kind of job, it's wearing uncomfortable clothes in order to pass as neurotypical. It might also be like not showing the pain that you are in. I know that autistic people, and I have learnt this through my mum who is autistic, we can have the highest pain tolerances of everybody, and that's the funniest thing, because sensory overload can feel actually physically painful for me. If I am in like a busy cafe or a bar and they're like crashing down plates or just really loud talking, it is so physically painful for me to just sit there and endure it. There's that word again. But then I can like go through a tattoo. Like I've had so many tattoos, and literally I have these finger dots on my fingers, and the tattoo artist told me that, you know, some guys that he's done the same thing for, like, couldn't even get through the full 10 fingers. And yeah, it was excruciating, but because I don't allow people to really see what's going on for me and what is internally happening, what is looking like on the surface is no pain. Like, I'm just getting myself through it in maybe a dissociating type of way. So if you are somebody who just tries to have the presentation, like you focus on your makeup or your clothing, even down to your home, appearing as though you are living this really successful, high functioning life, but the reality is so different for you, that is still a form of masking. And this is a great follow-up to the last masking type, and that is presentation-based masking. Similar to what I said in the last point, this is basically trying to come across as neurotypical as possible. This might be in your body language, the way that you dress, the career that you have, the life that you are living. This is honestly just trying to look like you are adulting correctly and convincingly. So it's not actually coming from decisions or a place within yourself that feels authentic. It's just feeling like this is what I should be doing in order to appear successful. This is really just a constant monitoring of self and behaviors and words, and probably encompasses all kinds of masking, because I think if you are somebody who has gone undiagnosed throughout their life, you are somebody who just had to get on with it, and you didn't have the answers as to why you were struggling, and so you couldn't just, you know, give up and be what you were truly feeling, because the judgment that was going to be there when there were no answers was probably going to be more painful than the actual masking itself. And so this was your survival mechanism. Learning to switch this off is something that I am really learning how to do, and honestly, I don't know how to do. That is why it is a topic that I am talking about right now, because it really does mean something to me, forming my identity. Tuscany, do you want to say hi? Come here. This is a perfect example. Like I would normally like cut these things out because I want to look like I can talk and it all flows, and I'm a really great speaker and everything just goes so perfectly. But I'm going to keep this part within the video because, you know, I am not at all this perfect person, and I am very much still trying to figure out who I am, and I know that I struggle to communicate, and these videos can be kind of difficult for me to make sometimes, because I am trying to get out my thoughts and my experiences in a way that feels relatable and constructive to you guys. I guess I really want to know through creating videos like this that there are others out there like me who are diagnosed informally or formally and are just trying to piece together their identity. You know, these videos do act as a therapy session for me, and so I hope that they have brought you guys a level of comfort as well. But in any case, if you guys are looking for more of a community, I host 1 hour talks every Thursday around my different autism lived experiences, just like I do on here, except it's a conversation with you guys. I love to be able to connect with my viewers, and so if you would like to join, the link is down below. Otherwise, I post all the time on my social medias, which are always linked down below too. Thank you guys so much for watching this video today, and I hope it gave you a bit of input, a little bit more of an answer as to where you could no longer keep that mask on, and how you can find your identity just in a little small way. So anyway, I am going to leave it there. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.